And Islamic State is now thought to be the world's richest terrorist organization. That's according to several reports, including a study by the International Business Times. Now, it's believed the Islamic State terrorist group has amassed an estimated $2 billion in funds, and it's increasing its loot through criminal activities and donations. And for more on this, we're joined by Majid Rafizadeh. He's the president of the International American Council and a Harvard University scholar. Majid, thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me, Michelle.
Majid, it's believed that a large part of Islamic State's original support came from wealthy individuals in the Arab Gulf states of Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Is IS still getting funds from donors in these countries?
Well, Michelle, based on the financial documents which were captured by the Iraqi forces, the financial documents of the Islamic States, it indicates that the chunk of money that they received actually is based on the smuggling of oils and based on capturing oil wells in northern Iraq. I think you're absolutely right. The individual donors they had at the beginning from the Gulf states, they were very important in establishing the Islamic State. But most of their funding now really comes from the oil operations and also the Yep.
Well, let's look at those oil operations, because oil analysts say that Islamic State is getting hold of and moving somewhere between 1 and 3 million barrels a day, both internally between Syria and Iraq and outside. And my question, Majid, is who are they able to sell it to? Surely there are restrictions that exist. Who is buying this oil?
Well, there are so many corrupt politicians there, and there are so many corrupt business companies there. So in the black market, they can find clients. And there are some reports that they actually are refining the oil in Syria and selling it back to the to some of the Syrian politicians. So there is some sort of corrupted interactions that you can find in the region. But there was something else I wanted to add, Michelle, that the financial system or financial means that they're using is really different from the way other terrorist groups are acting. The Islamic State does not rely on formal financial systems like banks. They have also been using some sort of extortion or plundering millions of dollars from other religious groups like Christian or Shia and collecting taxes. So it is really very difficult for United States or Western allies to block the financial resources that the group is receiving.
Well, as you say, they are engaged in various criminal activities, looting, thieving, imposing taxes on the minorities that they oppress. Meanwhile, President Obama is saying that the U.S. needs to come together with its allies and somehow stop these funds in order to be able to decrease their operations. He said so at the UN, and let's take a listen to what he said today.
It is time for a new compact among civilized peoples of this world to eradicate war at its most fundamental source, and that is the corruption of young minds by violent ideology. That means cutting off the funding that fuels this hate. It's time to end the hypocrisy of those who accumulate wealth through the global economy and then siphon funds to those who teach children to tear it down.
So, Majid, the president is saying that it's essential that Islamic State be cut off financially from the global economy. So what needs to happen? How can this be done?
Well, first of all, I have to say that the United States can help at the margins. The United States cannot really resolve the problem completely. What is needed is really a concentrated attempts from Iraqi government and also Syrian government where the Islamic State is operating. I think they have to decentralize power to different local communities, so the local communities would be able to squeeze out the Islamic State from the territories. And the other thing is that the American post 9/11 strategy blocking financial means to terrorism through the international financial system doesn't really work, because the Islamic State relies on local economies. They're relying on local means that they obtain in parts of Iraq and Syria. So they have to find really other strategy. They have to plot a joint strategy between different countries, Iraq, Syria, Jordan, and Turkey, as well as Iran, to find a way to block those fundings.
You know, U.S. officials have accused Turkey, Qatar, Kuwait, and particularly Kuwait of not doing enough in order to prevent this. These are supposed to be U.S. allies. What pressure can the U.S. exert on them?
Well, I think here there are a lot of blames to go around. I think United States particularly, its foreign policy towards Iraq in the last decade and towards Syria in the last few years, the failures in the foreign policy had unintended consequences. And the unintended consequences are the emergence of such terrorist groups. So I think all of these government that the United States mentioned, as well as the United States, are here really to blame, because all of them, I think, some sort of indirectly or based on unintended consequences has contributed to emergence of these Islamist groups.
Yeah. Many saying that the U.S., in its attempt to arm Syrian rebels, was, in fact, largely responsible for the rise of Islamic State. We are going to have to leave it there. We thank you very much, Majid Rafizadeh, president of the International American Council and a Harvard University scholar.